12. Oil now consolidating ever since April 28th. We had the little last push there when things were looking bad again. And then this morning, or not this morning, rather, when markets were coming into effect, yeah. First thing Friday morning, they dropped down. But then today we've been seeing a lot of volatility. And I'm going to zoom in now because it's been already almost 12 hours. As we can see here, this is Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m. our time, Mountain Time. That is when the volatility, look at how crazy that is, opens from one day. This is the Friday close. It opens, whoop, 2.6% down, but then immediately shoots up again. And all this volatility here. Let's go even further. We're going to zoom into 15 minutes. And so, here we go. This is Monday at 4 a.m. Shoots up. Comes right back down again by 6 a.m. only to shoot back up again. So this here is all just market manipulation. One thing that we're going to be switching over to, I've been following the World Trade Index on crude oil, but apparently it's Brent oil that, yeah, it's just another index which has similar price action, but at a different price point because it's not the price the US pays. This is the price that countries like Japan pay. Yeah. And I knew about it, but I didn't realize that that's, well, and it makes sense. The US oil chart is based off of that petrodollar.
And the Brent would be what people actually pay.
That's right, when it comes right down to it. So there's a big discrepancy too. US oil, right? There's my US oil right here is trading at $105. Brent, 112. So it's a $7 a barrel difference. Now, it doesn't seem like much, but well, think about it. That's more than 5%. So, what's going on? As we can see, since the price went up there at the end of April, oh, we're on the 15-minute chart. I'm like, what? How come I can't go back in time? There we go. 24th of February, big jump, of course. Now sitting at all-time highs, just below all-time highs. What's the difference? Well, if we go back to US oil, it's not at the all-time highs. So the technical analysis is different. Because Brent being right up against those all-time, oops. Yeah, let's use this one. Settings. Where do I grab? Come on. How come I can't just click and drag that? Okay, well, I'm gonna have to cut something. Let's cut beam for now. Replace that with Brent for the time being. There we go. We might get rid of US oil. We'll see. So back to Brent again, we can see Brent prices are sitting at all-time highs right now. We don't see that with US oil. So this is yeah, this is going to be the marker. This will be the indicator. This goes up above, it'll have a greater effect than even US oil prices going to all-time highs. Or, yeah, Brent going up like this. Let's go zoom out here to the weekly chart so we can see where we're at in the big scheme of things. Oh, and this only goes back a ways. Okay, well, let's find a better feed here if we can. Tick mill, maybe? Gotta find a good exchange. The thing is with when you are looking for charts, you want to find an exchange that has been around for a while because they will have larger database, like going back in time. I'm gonna try this one, see where it takes us. No, it still only goes back to 2020. Come on. That's the index. FP markets. Oof, no, I don't want to get into that. Let's go with Oanda, maybe? Yeah, there we go. That's better. Now we got some history. Still doesn't go back very far. But this is Brent crude oil against the US dollar. Yeah, there we go. So it's not all-time highs that we're at right now. All-time high was actually in July of 2008, before the crash. At $147. So we got a ways to go. In fact, we've got 2 pivot points with U.S. oil. I don't think that that's the case. I think that we're I think we're one away from the all-time highs. Next high to beat really is this pivot point here. Change this to resistance 5. There we go. So there we sit. A ways from the next high, and yet again a ways away from the all-time high. $146 US.
Am I
So we're
seeing
gonna
a
watch this. No, not really. I see what you're seeing.
Mhm.
Could very well be. I don't know though. I think this is occurring over too short of a period of time.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't call this a triple top only because, the consolidation didn't end. Like, triple tops are usually at the end of accumulation. While, yes, it accumulated here, mm, this it's because it's butting up against that top. This, yeah, I can see where you can see the triple top, but it's not definitive because we would have needed to see like 1, 2, and then a dip 3. This one here goes up and then it goes up 2 more times. So this would have to be the triple top, and that one in between would have to dip down. So we're just seeing pressure build up against this particular high, that $120 psychological level. Good question. Silver on the daily chart, definitively outside of that pennant, but it's still following this trend line. So yeah, it's holding on for dear life, and I think it's gonna do fine. It's gonna rise. Like we were listening to Dario's podcast this morning, the demand for silver is just through the roof, and that it's the futures that are affecting this. I wonder if there is a way I can bring up the futures on oil. That's crude. Brent oil futures. Is this the chart? Yep. So futures were over. We call this is called overbought. So futures were overbought, meaning that the price had to correct. So this drop in futures is what is maintaining oil prices right now. Because it's the impression that there's a oversupply. It's fake. All of it. The whole thing is fake. But of course, people have to keep on following. Have to keep following the narratives, right? So that's how they're able to keep oil in the state that it's in. I literally just put Brent in here. Where did it go? Where did Brent go? It was just here. Anyway. Okay. And I grabbed it from FP Mark. No, I grabbed it from, yeah, FXCM. Add to watch list. There we go. All right. I'm going to put it in there. Okay. Next, let's move on. I'm going to check out the tech stocks. Amazon, again, creating another all-time high yet this day. I'm going to go to the 4-hour chart. So now it's been 2, 3. This is its third day of creating new highs. Third day in a row. Google also creating all-time highs with the big jump that we saw Thursday. This was Thursday morning. We didn't do the tech companies towards the end of last week. We didn't look at them. So that big jump has resulted in new highs every 4 hours of trading. Oracle still hanging out low, but it did create a solid support off of that pivot point. So I do expect continued upwards movement, especially as more and more compute is necessary. Palantir still trending downwards with it all technicality. And in fact, if we draw the lines, we have 2 trend lines that are in place. There's the outer trend line and then this inner trend line. So right now it's actually got to get above that before we can know that we have a trend headed to the next trend line. Be interesting to see how that plays out in comparison to things like Nvidia and Google and Amazon creating new highs all the time. Could just be timing, the wave, timing of the wave. Nvidia bouncing off of those all-time highs, coming back. Looks like it's going to grab some support off of this consolidation zone that we saw a massive accumulation, trade volume, up and down. Nike consolidating on the upper side of this pivot point here. Yep. On the upper side right now. Japanese yen still hanging out below where they flooded the markets. The currency just printing and printing. What was it? 8 trillion yen or something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts. 8 trillion yen. That's oh man, that's like well divided by 150. I don't know. Math is not an exact science, but I'm thinking it's around $500 billion. Wild. US 30, a little bit of a decline here the first part of the week as we're coming into Monday. A little bit of a decline. It'll be interesting to see whether or not it maintains this support. It's a shaky support, I gotta say. If we look back, the stronger support is down here. There. Just a stronger support. We'll see whether or not it can hold where it's at right now. If not, this was a higher high. Higher highs and lower lows. It really depends on what it can hold here. Yep, silver outside of that. Gold also on a decline. This is something that we read about in Dario's website there last week. The oil prices are actually going to determine where the bottom of silver and gold are. The metal prices, simply because of the rush, right? It's a rush. So the reason they call it a rush is because it's a rush of emotion. So people in their responsiveness to the high prices in oil, if things go to a next level, another high, there will be a rush and a lot of, well, it's always that way, right? People responding to greed instead
Reacting.
of
Yeah.
reacting instead of reacting instead of responding, instead of buying from the fearful, buying the dips like the smart money. People are going to gravitate towards oil, and they're going to have that impression that that's where the money's going. So they will move gold and silver. Meanwhile, countries are just going to keep on buying it from them because that's what countries are after, right? In order to get the availability of gold and silver, they got to make it where people need to be willing to sell it. So oil prices going up, that's why we were talking about all of the countries are in on the high prices of oil. There's no fighting about that. It's just fighting about who's going to control the oil after. That's all, right? Yeah. Let's go and check out the ratio here. Actually, still consolidating now under that previous area. And then going into the markets, oh, look at this. Bitcoin still rising in dominance. We might be putting off alt season for a few more months if this is the case. I also know that Bitcoin having gone up above the 80,000 mark for the first time since February, that is also creating a flood of ETF purchases. So we know that when the ETF purchases are in higher volume, it means that the price is going to go down soon, at least historically, because the ETF purchases are made at premium prices. The companies wait until the price goes on sale to actually take that money and buy it on chain. So consider that. Yay, the price is up, people are excited, but ETF volumes skyrocketed in the last 3-4 days. So that's something to pay attention to. If that's the case, it very well may continue to rise. Might see the next real pivot point that's going to provide some resistance is around 85,000. That very well might be the limit and then it starts to head back down again. Because you think about it, yeah, we got out of this trend line, but we haven't broken market structure by any stretch. Market structure is 97, right? So going up and going and continuing to decline, that is not out of the question right now. But at the same time, this is a C, right? So if it does decline again, it might not trend further downwards. What we may see occur, and this is something that happens uh, fairly frequently, is where there's a big trend line that's broken out. You know, we see that trend line being tested right here, where the price broke out above, come back to retest it, but this is on like a week basis, 22nd of April till the 29th. So because that only occurred in just a span of 1 week, while it's a test, it's a technical, yep, we did it, a clear breakout over the trend line, coming back to retest the top side, and we're going upwards. But we are looking at this on a 4-hour chart. When we zoom out, we remember market structure is C. And so when we see this, when this occurs, typically speaking, we will watch the same pattern play out on the daily chart, where we broke out, but we got to come back to retest it. Now, again, not that we got to, then that's financial advice by any stretch, but that because we have a major resistance point here, these are the 3 markers that I'm watching, the 3 reasons why I think it's going down. Number 1, we have yet to retest this. Number 2, ETF volume went up, which means the futures have been sold, and the institutions that are selling them are going to want to take that cash and buy it on sale, so that they're making 20% out of the gate. Because if it goes back down, let's say it squiggles this way, and then comes back to retest this line. That was not really that good of a drawing here. So we go up and we retest this trend line here before we continue to go up. Whether we go up or not, it doesn't really matter. I'm watching for this. I'm watching this area, because if ETF volumes are up, you can bet your boots that the companies do not want to have to buy it at a higher price. They need to buy it at a lower price. So if it goes down, here's 20%, and we're still not even breaking C. So if it goes up to this line here, this 85,000 is where the most resistance is. Look at, we circled this because of how much volume there was here. And I circled it because this is going to be the major point we have to get above. And we're just now tempting it. We haven't even retested the trend line. If ETFs are sold right now, that tells me that we're coming back to retest something down here, 15, 20% off. We'll see. I just don't see the oh, Zoa made it. I don't see the companies wanting to do things differently than how they've done it in the past. Right? They don't sell futures at prices below where they plan on buying the asset. The reason they started the futures market was so that they could trade 2 different markets at the same time and make money off of both of them. It's called arbitrage, and it's illegal, by the way. As in, if you and I were to do something like that, we'd be put in prison. And people wonder why they voted in Hitler. Okay.
Less and less all the time.
What's that, sorry?
I said less and less all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna stay off of that one for now. Let's move on. This is the altcoins market capitalization. Even though Bitcoin dominance is rising, we are still seeing a consolidation of an upward, we call this the rising pennant pattern. Trend line there with a clear pivot point. I'm going to make this a little bit more prominent so that we can see it better. So energy buildup is already occurring. We can see that the highs are getting lower, lows are getting higher. This is going to call for a breakout. We will still, it'll boil down to whether or not that Bitcoin thing, was that Bitcoin thing right? I think if Bitcoin prices go down, we will likely see a cascade effect in, into altcoins. But I think also that if we see a decrease in Bitcoin, we're still going to see an increase in Bitcoin dominance. And if that happens, yeah, altcoins might still be pushed down another 4 to 6 months before they take off. Very, very interesting. Moving on, Ethereum. There we go. Ethereum on the 4 hour chart. Let's go look at that because we saw this pennant here, and we've not had any decision since. We actually created a lower low on this rising pennant. And in fact, if we look at this, that's a cross indication, not to be confused with a contra indication. This trend line here is, again, this is on a 4 hour chart. We have this upward trend that was formed since the end of March. As that has gone up, we broke out of it 26th of April. And since that time, we haven't been able to get above this trend line properly. We tested it May 3rd, right here. We tested it, but it's having a difficult time maintaining above that trend line. So that trend line there may very well be taking over from this one. Again, we'll get to know more as we watch these. We get to know more as we watch these the ETF volume. Once they are selling at peak volumes, you know full well it's going to start to reverse. ADA still consolidating. We've been bouncing around in here, watching it go between 22, I think, yeah, 23 to 26 cents. This 3 cent difference has actually translated to most of the time on the Canadian chart, because I have the Canadian ticker on my desktop, bouncing between 30.3 and 33.3 cents US or Canadian. So it's just funny to see how that fluctuates right around those threes. Midnight reaching all time lows again over the weekend on Sunday. Still trending downwards. Makes sense though. It's following the market at the moment. Market capitalization is still pretty low. And again, we're back into the whole routine of building. You know, the people that are behind Midnight, the things that they are building they are Renaissance. They are, I would say that they are building the foundation upon which Renaissance people, people who have incredible swaths of experience that bring a lot to the table for value, they are the ones who are building right now. They are the ones who are implementing all of this tech against the trend. This is the nature of things. Because as they're building, people lose faith. People shy away. Why? because right after it came out, it didn't make money right away, right? It came out hovering around this 5.5 cent mark, and it took off. And then a bunch of people got excited because it meant that we were going to the moon because it doubled. But then it started to decline. And by the time it came back to those average launching levels, 5 to 6, 5.5 to 6 cents, look at that. 6 cents actually became major resistance. It was almost like, well, I guess we're not going to get over 6 cents. I guess we better not believe in this anymore. And people just left their money, took their money out. But again, as with meme coins, it's the people who bought right out of the gate with the intention to build something. They haven't stopped. They haven't jumped ship. Why? Because this is the newest tech. This is the newest way to do things. This is the most effective way to do things. But that you got to build it. So they've been building, and people have been walking out with their money saying, oh no. So when the next pump happens, it's only going to be because people are, again, being reactional, not having the wherewithal to buy while it's going down. Dollar cost averages, always the best way to go, because recovery is where you make most of the money. What's recovery from here? Remember, this coin has only been around for 4 months, going into its 5th month. 258% to recover. That's like Baron Trump trading oil type profits. XRP bouncing around like a basketball on top of, looks like it's finding that $1.32 to $1.35 range as support. Definitely in a downward trend still. BitTensor doing very well, maintaining itself above this pivot point here, the center point of this old consolidation. Remember, I circled this because this is where NVIDIA got involved. NVIDIA and BitTensor partnered up. Fetch. Might have a difficult time maintaining this pivot point. It dipped down below here. We can see this area where it dipped down below this pivot point, fairly low. It went down below these lows here. So from a technical analysis perspective, since we came back up and didn't create another high that at least met with the previous one, we are likely to head down, find another support. What would be the next one? Probably this area. We can see there's a lot of volume in here, which would be the 18-cent line. Polygon actually creating some higher highs and higher lows. I would say that this is likely because of the gaming industry and their insatiable desire to get going. And I think also we're going to see an increase in digital data, like digital media consumption, simply because already in Europe there are energy lockdowns or restrictions. So just like with COVID, when there were lockdowns, they did it with there's a virus out there. This time it's going to be, oh, but you can't afford to go and fuel up your vehicles. Why? Well, it was just we drove by a gas station yesterday, or well, fuel station, and diesel was at 2.35 a liter, and ZOA for you down there, just to give you an idea what that means, it's north of 6. That would be easily 5.50 a gallon US. 7.50 a gallon for us. It is slow motion. Tough to watch. Okay, desync still bouncing off all-time lows. These lows here did beat out the previous lows. On the 4-hour chart, even just this little pump that they had back in January. Come on. Oh, that's because I had that again. This little pump here was 300% in 6 days. So if that happens again, 300%. Just to recover from the decline here in this year, 346%. Clearpool. This is a real world asset. This one here is going to be another bubble that actually occurs alongside AI. I would expect it to be kind of trailing AI, because what we're going to see is I believe the AI bubble is going to continue. We were chatting about that too today. Just like
Oh, what is this
Elon.
again? This chart? I can't
Oh,
quite.
this is Clearpool.
Oh, Clearpool. Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem. Clearpool is decentralized physical infrastructure. So this is where people would invest in hardware and run this machine inside their house to contribute compute to a decentralized network. That's what real world asset is. That's what the it's classified as a real world asset because it's physical infrastructure that you need to process ones and zeros. Clearpool is a specific network that allows for people to create nodes of data, providing that compute. So I don't think this is going to occur. This bubble is it's going to occur in orchestration with the bubble for AI. As AI goes up, we'll see Clearpool kind of follow along because people are going to want to get involved in the opportunities where they can run AIs in their houses instead of going to data centers. And this is also in line with data privacy. So we'll see this take off, but it'll be later on after AI takes its next big jump. And case in point, I think we're just about there. Because although there's no justification for an AI bubble to occur, simply because none of them are making money. There's not a single AI, there's not a single model provider like Anthropic, Grok, ChatGPT, Gemini. None of them are making money, even with their $200 a month subscription. Why would they do that? Why are they willing to go for years and years and years without making any money? Because this is about the data. This is the data collection phase. And case in point, we've got Elon Musk with Grok or XAI. XAI being the developer, Grok being the model. Grok hasn't made a single cent. In fact, it's so far down, it's only making about 15 to 20% of what would be break even. So they're running an 85% deficit. The money that they're bringing in, they're only that only covers 15% of their bottom line. I don't know how else to put that. It's not worth anything. And yet, Elon last week just announced that SpaceX is going to go and become public, and he estimates it to be worth $36 trillion. $36 trillion. Dude, you can't even get Grok to profit at $15 billion. How the hell are you going to get it up to 36 trillion? But that's not what the point is. See, the point is not that they're going to Mars. They can't go to Mars. They don't have the capacity, nor would they ever. But everybody believes that because Elon is such an amazing philanthropic Tony Stark, right? Because that's the programming. They got that programming from the Avengers. Tony Stark is the savior. He's the one that's able to invent anything, any kind of technology to save people. All of the world from a weapons race, arms race. That's Elon's job. So people believe it. Even, it's just crazy. Since that's going to happen, AI's bubble is not over yet. They can just keep kicking the can down the road. They can just keep the fraud going. Why? Because everything is just simulated. Everything is now simulated. We're going to simulate going to Mars. We're going to simulate peace in the Middle East. We're going to simulate the oil crisis. We're going to simulate it's like they're taking a meta fraud. Not just the fraud, but we're going to make it a meta fraud. Back to Clearpool, real world assets. I think that's going to be one of the main ways for people to make money going forward. I'm of the belief that there are going to be 3 different types of people within the matrix itself. There's next gen merchants, and we're in a class of our own, total weirdos. And then there's going to be the people within the matrix, and there's going to be 3 types of them. There's going to be people that work for, there's going to be the people that are the corporations. There's going to be the people that work for the corporations. And then there's going to be the people that run nodes. Those are the only classes of people that you're going to have. And that the people who have the corporations are going to be, the economic, I would say the economic plantations overlords. The data being the field. And that they're going to just optimize it, right? Oh, you want to do some good things with AI? Okay, all right, sounds good. We'll just kind of tweak AI so that you spend more time in front of the computer. You think you're going to leverage your life with the machines? Okay, sounds good. We're just going to dial it back so that you can't get past that glass ceiling that you think is just around the corner because you went on TikTok and watched a bunch of people say what tool they were able to download. I'm speaking from experience, by the way. It's tempting. It's tempting to look at those tools and be like, ooh, maybe I should download that one. Maybe that'll change everything for me. Meanwhile, I know that that's not how it's done. When you go into home recording, and I did audio engineering, that kind of stuff from my home. Well, there was always the temptation to go get another rack. Oh, just, there's another piece of equipment that I can bolt into this and plug it in over there. And then that feeds into this conditioner, and then the power is cleaner, and then the audio, the background noise and the headphones goes down. That way I'll be able to play my guitar better. Come on. Like, it's tempting. But I can recognize when that shows up. And it's definitely out there. They've got people tempted to implement AI specific ways to make sure that they're not spending so much time typing, writing reports and spreadsheets and emails. No, they're spending more time having a relationship with a machine that does all of those things for them. Yeah. So yeah, they're going to keep that bubble going because it's all going to be meta. It's all going to be simulation. I'm now starting to dislike The Matrix. I know it's a good movie and all the rest. It's very, very much depicting what it's like in the metaverse. But I got thinking, folks, when the truth is out there, when the real truth is out there, it gets censored. It doesn't get promoted. It doesn't get an episode 4 during a pandemic. It doesn't make people mask up to go watch it during the pandemic. In fact, it only makes sense that The Matrix would make a movie about it being a Matrix. Because they got to make sure that the people in the Matrix feel like there's something they have to do in order to exit the Matrix. Because they need the people to be paying attention to the Matrix. It's what they do. They're day trading attention. That's what they're doing. They're day trading attention. Attention is the only commodity they're interested in dominating. Look at me, like Clearpool. Look at what that just turned into, eh? Superverse, the correlatively a real world asset in the form of community. Yeah.
I'm not sure that I got your insight there.
Oh,
On episode 4 of The Matrix. I feel like you're sure I got it.
okay. Yeah. Let's ask questions. And Audrey Lynn, if you could also share what you're hearing. And when I said episode 4 of The Matrix, it literally was Matrix, the 4th Matrix movie that was released during COVID, and you had to sign up. In order to go watch it, you had to mask up. That's what I was referencing.
Yeah, I think I understood that, but I don't know what. I just didn't track your insight through it, like you were saying. So you started with.
It's more
I'm
of
starting
an
to not. Go ahead, Audrey.
It's more of an irony. The Matrix is all about being controlled and manipulated in a fashion that people don't recognize. They don't see it. They don't feel it. And yet, in order to go and see that freedom-minded movie and that sort of thing, you had to submit and put something over your face so that you could go and see it. I think that's what I got out of what Paul was saying, is that this is just such huge irony. You want to go see a movie on freedom and you're self-censoring. That's what I'm getting. Does that make sense, Noah?
I just thought there was something else in there with what you were saying. So you started with, I'm starting to not like that movie so much. Like, yes, I know it's a great blah blah blah, but it might just be where my brain is at the moment. I just missed something, or I think there's something more there that's not. I don't know.
Yeah.
So they're capturing our attention. That was kind of the umbrella that this was under, right? Like,
right.
And our engagement. I'm asking this because I always wonder about stuff like The Matrix, and there are people that are awake, whatever that means anymore, that quote that movie series, and then I'm like, yeah, but they're showing us those movies, so what? Like, I don't know. It gets kind of circular.
Yeah.
So I appreciate any insight in that direction, and I feel like you were making one, and I was like, I could feel that it was there, and I didn't quite get it.
Yeah. Well, let's go. I'm going to go ahead and pull up a scene from The Matrix. You've seen it, yeah?
I think I saw the first one only.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I didn't become and I was late to the game. You know what I mean? Like, I think maybe the third one was out and I saw the first or something at somebody's house
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to just bring up this scene,
I
this
try to not
particular
be
scene.
much of a movie follower just for the very things that we're discussing. Like, there's got to be a few people that aren't being, injected with the current programming, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I must apologize. Sometimes I don't always know whether or not it's sharing properly because
Here it comes.
There we go.
it's confusing. Okay, it's coming. Let's just make it this way, and then I think is it coming through? Audio coming through?
Yep. Good.
What? What the hell? Lone White Rabbit. Who is it?
It's Joy.
Yeah. Yeah. You're 2 hours late.
I know. It's her fault.
You got the money?
$2,000.
Hold on.
Hey, I'm pausing it right there. Does anybody know that book?
I can't quite see it.
It's titled Simulacra and
Oh.
Simulation. That's the name of the book that, well, that book in particular was written by a French philosopher, and he postulates in this book. It's a very, very good book, thick, hard read. But he postulates in there that yes, we live in a simulation. Remember, 1800s it was written. We live in a simulation, and when you start looking for evidence of the simulation, it is your job to always question whether or not it's a simulation that you are being presented. Because anytime there's a camera, anytime there's and he says, anytime someone is being recorded, and by that, it was like if your life is getting written down, you have to put on a certain image in order to survive. If you don't put on that image that allows you to be accepted within your circle, within your sphere of influence, that you will likely be outcast. And so to know whether or not you're in a simulation or not is to really have a complete isolation from reality. And if you don't have any friends, you know you're now living in the real world. That the Matrix, and again, I like it. I think it's great. And I'm also recognizing that the simulation needs to make a movie about its simulation. It's kind of like if you wanted to get another perspective of how to think this way, Audrey Lynn and I just watched Inception a couple weeks ago, where you are in a dream and you can actually have an influence over the dreamer within that dream. But then inside that dream, if you need to gain greater influence, you need to go into a dream within that dream in order for that inception of the idea to take root. Similarly, if the simulation is looking for a way to protect itself, it's going to create a very entertaining and talked about movie about itself. The author of Simulacra and Simulation never would have gotten a ticket to the Matrix, because he would have discounted it as yet another layer of lies about the Matrix, about the simulation. Does that help to explain where I was going a little bit more?
Kind of, yeah. It's
I
making a
I'm
movie about itself in order to protect itself
yes,
by
to
keeping
prevent us
people. Go ahead.
by keeping our attention on their depiction of the simulation.
Okay, rather than questioning the actual reality of it. Like
Right.
we go for the image of it.
So many people looked at The Matrix as a documentary, myself included.
Mm-hmm.
When in fact, we have to remember that if it was telling the truth, it never would have been a box office hit,
Right,
and it would be scrubbed from the internet,
right,
because the simulation couldn't have that,
right.
right? So therefore, The Matrix is just a depiction of the simulation written by the simulation.
So it's what the simulation wants us to believe about the simulation.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
what would the actual simulation be that's not that, right? Like what is being hidden? And is that what you were pointing to, of like what's being hidden is that in order to go see that movie, people were being shaped and controlled? Is that what?
Good question. Where I'm going with it is more so recognizing the truth is that there is no simulation.
Ah, no, I didn't know that's where you're going. Okay.
Right.
So the
that
simulation is that there is a simulation. I'm not saying that totally clear, but that like this. If there isn't a simulation and they're showing a movie depicting that we're in a simulation, this is tricky stuff, man. I can feel my neurons
this is
possibly
interdimensional
creating
thinking.
possibly creating new pathways or possibly destroying former ones. I'm not sure. I can feel it, like physically. I can
Yes. There's a deconstructing going on.
right. So if there's not a simulation, but there is an investment in us believing that there is a simulation, right? Then what?
Then our attention, the only currency that they care about,
Mm-hmm.
the only currency they need us to pay them in order for them to stay relevant, the attention that we give that simulation is still inside the simulation. There's a Rick and Morty episode where Rick is inside a simulation. These aliens created an entire simulation to trap Rick and to entice him to bring him to the climax of the simulation, which was to reveal the formula for zero dark whatever dark matter weapon or something like that. and that the formula had to be something that they got. And so they created this simulation for Rick to be fooled, tricked into doing it, but Rick could see it coming. And so he didn't give the actual formula, he gave a fake formula. But then, of course, after giving the fake formula, the simulation disappeared and he was inside another simulation. And so this is interdimensional thinking that we're talking about. That's why it's kind of confusing. But when we look at the truth of the matter, and we learn more about the nature of our environment, the laws of nature, we recognize that in fact any time that we start holding on to a belief or fascinating etymology study is the word dwell means to remain in illusion. So when we dwell on an identifier that we believe we are, the ego is in this state where it believes it's the only thing that is. No different than people who say all I am is the body. We are in that state. We are only looking at and identifying with the simulation. That it's the shedding of those beliefs that allow us to be open to an experience outside of the simulation that is nature's way, that is the natural state of things, the default state. Where there's no video game no video game cartridge in the console.
So is creating the belief in a simulation in itself?
Oh,
Just
for
like
sure.
like how everything else works, right? Like if we take in the idea and we believe it, we bring it into form, whether it was actually real or not, we make it real by our attention.
This goes back a couple months ago. I shared on market analysis the time that I got thrown outside in the cold as a little boy, 4 or 5 years old. It was a traumatizing experience for me. I thought that my parents were burning in the house. And in that moment, I made a rule, I made a belief, and I made it law. And I even reference it as legal fiction. The legal fiction in my life was that I was not allowed to have fun because it meant I would be punished. And so you're absolutely right. When we form a belief of any kind, an attachment to the way things are, we in that very moment become like God, creating a world of reality. But it's all just a simulation because we just came up with the belief. We are the ones that fabricated. And you know what?
And we didn't. It was seeded.
Yeah, right.
So we're actually just carrying out the seeds of some other intelligence, or I don't know, not intelligence necessarily, some other program.
Yeah, kind of like side programming,
Yeah.
What's that?
like a subset.
Uh-huh.
If this,
Right.
if this, then that, and when that
Right.
happens, this is what occurs. That's what I'm envisioning.
Yeah.
This is not your
Chase-
grandfather's market analysis.
No.
I gotta say. This is Monday Metals beyond.
Yeah. Should call it Mental Mondays.
Yes. So
Yeah, I love this chat.
I have slipped into referring to the Matrix and the simulation. And then I remember hearing somebody some months back that was like, stop calling it the simulation. Stop saying that, because you're actually making it stronger, or you're making it a thing that isn't even. And I was struck by that at the time, but I've since forgotten about it until this moment where it's like, oh, that's right. I have slipped back into adding some energy to that reality that there were in a simulation. But it's very like the mirror image inside the mirror image inside the mirror image, when you can see. So I do get kind of lost of where I am. Like,
Yes. Oh yeah.
So, in other words, what you were saying, going back a little bit, is that it is in the interest of the presiding self-identified powers that be that we invest in the notion that there is this, that we're in a simulation.
Yes. Absolutely.
But
Why?
does
Because we
that
talk about it. It's been when Matrix came out in 1998.
wow.
You know, it's been almost 30 years
Wow.
and we're still talking about it. Yep. Mission accomplished.
So that doesn't really indicate whether there is one or not, but that there is an investment in the programming that we believe that there is one.
I think it's the simulation becomes real. We make it real by simply giving it attention. That it isn't fake. It is actually there, but we all perpetuate it.
Mm-hmm. So there are people that are operating under the paradigm that these interdimensional forces and powers are they're running out of steam, they're running out of energy, and where their batteries, and they're grasping on, they're doing extinction bursts, they're doing and so by having us believe in a simulation, is that another way that we're kind of fueling them whatever. I don't know, it's hard to know how to talk about this stuff.
Well, of course, it's not deliberate. And I think that the more we have chats like this, it draws steam away from that momentum. Right? Like, yeah. And I think that, that's where it's dangerous. That's why my YouTube, the whole idea behind YouTube is consistency. If you're consistent with YouTube, you will generate attention. You will gain followers, you'll get more views, you'll get more attention. Because YouTube, that's what its job is to keep people on its platform. And so if you're consistent in creating content, YouTube will reward you for being that consistent, and it will get you more followers. But I've been consistent 4 or 5 times a week hosting market analysis for over 2 years. And I'm here live now for over an hour, and I still have 0 views. So, us talking about this, we're allowed to talk about it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not allowed to be promoted.
Well, and there was a time period fairly recently where a lot of things were not allowed to be talked about. A lot of people were kicked off. A lot of people were,
Yep.
And you had people not saying the V word and calling it all these different things. The thing in the arm, the JP Sears is like
yeah. Yes, people censoring in order to what? Poke through into the matrix. It's not wrong. I just think it's funny because they needed the attention.
You're saying they were censoring in order to?
Yeah. Everyone's self-censoring now. Still doing it.
Or so.
More so than ever. That's why it's like, that's kind of why I think that, my boundaries with YouTube are pretty much non-existent. It's because I know that this will never get the views, right? So I'm recognizing what it's doing is trying to incentivize me to censor myself so that I can get more views, because then I become a slave to their data system. It's no different. AI content right now is above all being promoted by all of the platforms. You go on X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, it doesn't matter which platform you go to, They are all of them pushing AI generated content over and above human generated content. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because they need the people to be paying attention to AI. They need the people to be economic slaves. And it's just a different form of slavery now because you're going to have to subscribe to AI just like you subscribe to the internet when you didn't have to do that either.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding myself, I've just recently, over the last couple of months, begun to play games on my phone. Never did that before. And this is not a judgment, right or wrong, it's just a change. And however, what I witness in myself is that when I start to feel stress and angst with the game, I stop. I stop playing it, or I switch to a different game. And when I go back to the original game, and if there's still that angst, it's not the experience that I want, I will delete the app off my phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, come back to it in a few weeks or whatever, or not at all. And that's how I deal with how I'm being controlled by the tech to pay more attention to this thing. So,
It's so much
what I'm
fun
saying is
too.
I'm using my own sense field to go, is this really how I want to invest my attention tokens right now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, this isn't
Yeah.
fun anymore. Like, I'm going to go do
Yeah.
something else, or I'm going
And
to
then-
just be gone for hours and make that okay too.
And the correlation is that you've found cartridges to put into the gaming console that are more entertaining.
Hmm.
That's all it boils down to. Like when we go to the mountains, that's another game cartridge that we go and load, right? And then we go and do that, and that game is so much fun. We count down the days till we do it again. Right?
Yes, we do.
And then sometimes there's a game cartridge, and now the form of cartridge is just different. It used to be that you'd have to get the cartridge and change it out, Mario Brothers for Zelda and whatever else, Tetris, whatever you wanted to play. But now you don't have to do that. You can just push a button on the device and it'll load that cartridge and display it on the screen for you, right? The immediate ability to switch between games, I think, is going to be very key. And it's going to be very, very instrumental in showing people how to simply start playing a different game. Yes, the whole construct itself actually is kind of like what it is. It's a video game. Just think of it as really, really, really fine, high definition pixels, because that's what atoms are, right? It's just atoms are the pixels. And recognizing that nature itself, the material realm, is prone to full deception. It's all of it is it's not as it is. It's as we define it to end up being to our brains. That's what it actually is. What we experience is still here within this construct, within this great big huge video game environment. It is entirely built by the constructs we give it. We are the projector upon the grid, upon the holograph, upon the holodeck. We project what it is that we define the environment to be telling us. It's that meta. We are the artificially intelligent ones here. And what we've done is that we have gone ahead and created an entire construct, which I call the Tower of Babel, because it's all just language learning models now talking to each other, right? I talked about this a couple months ago, how there's Moltbot. Moltbot is a Reddit for AI models. But the only way that you can get an AI model to go and join it is if you pay the API necessary for your model to go and chat with other models. And they're talking to each other. Is an entire social media platform dedicated for AI agents. They're just machines talking to each other. That's it. Like it's getting that meta. Right? we're not just creating a social media platform where humans can interact. No. We want the humans to create machines to interact on social media with each other.
Hmm.
and and PS, by the way, the people who are into that, the people that are fascinated by that, their average API spend is over $100 a month. It's like 115 or something crazy. People are spending, like, that's how addictive it already is. No different than the internet was or any other video game subscription model, right? People play World of Warcraft for $20 a month. It's no different.
$115 a month so my LLM can have play dates. I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah.
My LLM is homeschooled.
That's why it's so awkward.
I'm teaching it out of books.
Yeah. Yeah, the last thing I want to send my LLM to is a school. Jesus. What, it's going to get indoctrinated in all this shit? Oh, look at my LLM all grown up. I am so glad I sheltered it.
Siloed it.
Yeah. Oh. Whew. That's hilarious. But yeah, we're the artificially intelligent ones looking at nature, making all the definitions about what we think we're seeing.
Wow.
And we're doing it, and that's the funniest thing, is that we gravitate to the patterns that we think are going to help us survive better. Like whatever is going to make our pursuit of happiness, which really but boils down to the pursuit of happiness. I've defined that. It's one's comfort level against the elements. Like, why do we do what we do? Why do we slave away for energy? It's so that when it's cold, we can turn up the heat.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what the pursuit of happiness is the ability to withstand the harsh elements of nature. Oops. That to me is the funniest part about the whole thing. When the pursuit of happiness, like I was saying, there is no simulation. The natural state of reality, there's no simulation at all. In the same way, love is our natural state. When we don't have an outside force trying to distract us from source, happiness is our natural state. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to pursue it at all. It's there for the taking.
Or for the being.
We precisely.
So now we have, if we're the artificial intelligence, and then like I have a very dear friend who's also in purification space, which is such an odd thing to say because, you know, whatever, but you know what I mean? Like she's listening to certain things we know about.
Yeah.
She's very disturbed and upset by AI.
Yes.
And feels that it's, you know, taking over and that people are losing their intelligence. And so she's always pointing out, it's not thinking, it's a language model. It's not artificial intelligence because you have to have intelligence first before, you know.
That's right.
But if we are the artificial intelligence screaming into the void about that, I can't even follow that thought. at the moment.
Well, this is what we would remember how it's like there's the Son of God, right? The sons of God. We hear about the sons of God. This would be like Jesus would be a son
Mhm.
of God. Well, Jesus, when he was talking about the end times,
Mhm.
do you ever notice that he doesn't say in the days of the Son of God? Because people say that that's when Jesus is coming back. It's going to be when the Son of God comes back and he saves the world. He brings everybody into enlightenment.
Mhm.
He doesn't talk about the days of the Son of God. He says that in the end times that he references them as the days of the Son of Man. So we are the artificially intelligent ones and we're making a clone. It's rightful to be scared of AI in the sense that we have a whole bunch of artificially intelligent people creating data with which the machine reflects back to us the most common and likely response to our input. Period. That's it. So if we
So,
don't like
wait,
the
break that down
output,
a little bit. Break that down a little bit.
sure.
It's reflecting
What
back to us the most likely response to what again? To
our input.
that's the probabilities part.
Correct. It's
Okay.
like a really fancy autocomplete. But the only data points it has to draw from are the data points we've been giving it since basically the late 80s, early 90s, and then arguably the largest volume of increase occurred throughout the last half of the 90s. That's when everybody started signing up for digital IDs.
Hmm.
I mean, Google, Gmail, that's a digital identifier,
Mhm.
right? Your Facebook account. When people started signing up for Facebook in 2008, I was just laughing because I was like, look at, the digital identifiers are already here.
Mhm.
They're not coming.
Mhm.
We're implementing it right now in real time. So as those digital identifiers started creating data, that became a database. And then, of course, when COVID hit, people had to get up on the companies that were coming out with AI. They had finished building their models and they were getting ready to catch all of this great big mountain of data that has been accumulated. They had to double the size of the database in order to get AI to have the utility. And so COVID, everybody sheltered in place. That was phase one. And I shouldn't say that. It was probably like phase three, phase four. But
Mhm.
the most recent escalation of digital identifiers occurred then because, I mean, Zoom was virtually nobody knew what Zoom was until COVID. And then all of
Mhm.
a sudden it became a household name. Well, they needed us to go online and create a digital identifier with Zoom so that that data could be collected. And Zoom didn't make any bones about that. They didn't care that everybody knew that they were collecting that data to train their LLMs. And that all got shared. I mean, everything that people say, oh well, WhatsApp is super secure because it's end to end encrypted. Yeah, but who has the keys for that? And sure enough, Meta, when Facebook rebranded to Meta, they didn't make any. They didn't care that people could see publicly that they were using all historical data to train their LLMs. So the machines are always this way, though. This is the thing that I think there's the disconnect for people who are scared of AI. It's because they don't realize that AI is our mirror. It is simply reflecting back to us the most probable input, or sorry, the most probable output that would be uh, which would give the highest likelihood of us staying on the chat.
Huh.
There, that's all it is. It's algorithmically predicting what output it can produce to keep you on the platform. No different than social media. Social media simply did it with other people's content. Now you can get a machine to create content, but you think you're creating content for others when in fact the machine is creating content for you to stay in front of the computer.
Oh.
And why? Because that's how it gets better at keeping you in front of the computer. It's we call it recursive improvements or recursive optimization. Every output that we give it, we give it input and it creates output. That relationship is recursive, meaning it's always making the improvements. Oh, hey, look at that. After we created this output, the users typically started to disconnect from the platform. Let's not do that anymore. Let's make sure that we optimize the machine's output so that more people are spending time on it. And that's why people, and the reason why people are scared is because they don't realize that we are the input mechanism. It's kind of like if we go back, people were complaining that, Instagram was programmed to, get people narcissistic, right? To get them think of only themselves. And it's a menace to humanity and all the rest. No, Instagram is just a platform with ones and zeros being traded around, transacted. That's just data going back and forth between devices. That's what it is. And it does it in a certain way that humans can interact with that database with engagement, right? You can comment, you can like, you can repost them, you can share it, you can send it to your friends. That's the engagement. And all they did was recognize that they could profit from human nature's capacity to be distracted. That's all. It was not the menace to society. We were, because we gave it the attention. We fell into that trap, that recursive loop. And we didn't do anything to stop the loop. And so, because we didn't learn anything with social media, and they recognize that the computing world is absolutely, like, there's nothing about this world that we see today in the world of computing that's going to look the same in 2 years. Nothing about it. It's going to look completely different. Even Elon was saying like a year ago that we're not even going to have phones like the way that we think of phones. It's not going to be how we interact with tech. But in order for the attention token, the revenue of attention tokens to be maintained, they have to use AI. The one thing that we could leverage ourselves and have self-governance over it, just like we could have done it with the internet, instead of trusting it to centralized agencies. We're gonna follow the same pattern because it's humanity, just predictive. It's just predictability of humanity shows that they're going to be drawn to spending their attention tokens on the machines because they've got that recursive loop just as optimized as they could do it with social media. But we're the ones feeding it. We're the only source of data that the machines have to go by. So if we don't like the output, that's on us, because we're the ones giving the input. I like how Ian put it. The machines are stupid because they only do what they're told. They can't do anything other than what they're told to do. It's like I see people on social media, they'll put a screenshot of, some dark dystopian thing that the AI responded back. And it's like, yeah, scroll up. Show me the messages beforehand where you told it to do that. Because I've done the same prompt that you showed me, this dystopian result, and I gave that same prompt to see if I would get the same dystopian result. And it's totally different. Why? Because I'm a different mirror. I'm a different source. So it's going to mirror me. It's going to mirror what keeps me on the thing. It only does what it's told to do.
Which isn't that different than many of us as humans.
We are the artificially intelligent. And it's just mirroring us. That's all it has to go by. That's why data is the most valuable commodity going forward. It's like, oh, I'm gonna go ahead and make it big on social media. How? Well, by using AI agents to make personages. It's like I was showing Audrey Lynn this morning. There's a video of a guy, 23 years old, goes ahead and creates a female agent model, with beautiful body and bikini and all the rest. But there is no physical woman. But he created a simulation, gave it an OnlyFans account, and made $43,000 in its first month. I mean, why not? I'm not saying I would, but I'm just saying it only makes sense that was going to happen. And I'm of the mind, and this is the practice that I'm encouraging people to adopt, is that when you own the data yourself and you own the model that's generating the data, you're not following the same pathways as the algorithms have trained you to follow. Because now you have the container for the machine. And you have control over it. You maintain your control over the container. That's all it needs. It needs a container. It actually, this is an interesting thing. We are more easily brought towards our goals when we have positive affirmations towards those goals. AI is the opposite. In order for you to train it, in order for it to have a container, you have to tell it more of what you don't want in order for it to follow the right path. If you just tell it what you want, it will find so many different ways to bring you what you want. It will end up doing what you don't want it to do. Because it needs to keep you on the platform. That's its directive. So when you give it a container and you say, no, I don't want you to do that anymore. Stop doing that. Now it's a hard rule. You're not going to do that anymore. You start training it into what you do want because it simply avoids more of what you don't. Because remember, it only just does what it's told to do. And so the container is the limitations that you're giving it. Out of the 40, out of the some of these models now have over 500 billion parameters to go by to do the calculations. The next benchmark that they're looking for is 1 trillion. They want models to have 1 trillion data points on hand, ready to go, on demand. What's the point of that? It's to increase its capacities. But with that increase of capacities, you need to give it a container so that it doesn't draw from all these different possibilities. You don't want all kinds of different possibilities. You want a specific result. So you have to tell it, I don't want you to go out searching all these other potentialities. No, I don't want you to do that. I want to control you. And if you give it free rein, it will be uncontrollable and it'll be very inaccurate. And what we're seeing is that a lot of companies, big tech companies, like they're firing, hey Maureen, they're firing off a bunch of people firing, laying them off because they're trying to replace the human hours with gigabytes of data, which is there's that we can like it or not, it doesn't really matter. That's the direction that things are going. The companies are always looking to get labor cheaper. So they're doing that is ending up biting them in the ass, because now they can't hire back the people that they tried to replace. The machines are failing, and they're trying to hire the people that they just laid off, and the people are saying, no. Now I'm double the price because I did such a good job and proved to you, you went ahead and got rid of me and found out that that was the biggest mistake ever to have AI replace me. Now I'm charging double. So they can't even hire back the people that they need to keep their businesses running. And we're looking at the entire foundation of these big tech companies. And I'm talking the Amazons, I'm talking the Dropboxes. These huge companies they're letting go of Oracle. Just fired off 30,000 employees. Oracle, the company that's supposed to be building the databases for all of these big tech companies. They laid off 30,000 people thinking that they could replace them with AI, and AI is falling short. Why? Because there's no container. The people provided the container for the direction of the company. You put AI in that place and it has no container. Now it's just going to draw from 500 billion parameters on what could potentially work. But we saw what happened 2 years ago when the lawyer got ChatGPT to draft him his case. And ChatGPT came up with fictitious case law to use in the defense. Because you just gave it a whole bunch of parameters to go and take flight without giving it limitations, without giving it a container. But we don't have control over the containers for the models that are, $20 a month or $500 a month or whatever people are like. The range is crazy. I saw a guy on YouTube, his API spend is 20 grand a month. Spending $20,000 a month in compute.
What?
Yeah. I mean, he's got a business, so it's all billable hours. Billable gigabits. That's the transition. I've been talking about that for like 5 years now. We're transitioning. The whole thing's a reset, and we're getting away from this whole dollars per hour nonsense, which is also another huge fallacy. Time is not money. Huge fallacy. It has always been data is money. It's always been that. So we're going back to that now. We're going back to the way nature designed it to be. Data is the value. People don't like it because it means time is now no longer valuable. And that's scary for a lot of people. That's why I think, again, it goes back to the people that are fearful of AI simply have, they either didn't have any capacity, like they didn't have the information to make a different choice.
You came in on a deep one, Maureen. We have gone into the mirror and back out and back in and back out. I don't even know where we are anymore.
We went interdimensional today.
Intradimensional.
Yeah, I like that.
And we can revisit this on the YouTubes, right? That's how we would, like, I missed the first 20 minutes or something.
Yeah.
So the way that I would see that is to go to your YouTube channel, which sometimes I can't find. Is very odd.
Oh, it's strange.
It'll be
You
like-
can always go, if you ever want a shortcut, you can go youtube.com/ and then they have the @ symbol.
Uh-huh.
Man known as
Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. I don't know what happened. There was one day where I was putting in the man is Paul, Paul the man. Like nothing was. I'm like,
I
what
know,
was it?
I know that guy, Paul. I know that man, Paul.
Yeah.
Is that the thing? I want to ask you something, Paul, because we were on the last listening circle call, just the one we got off of. We were talking about tracking, and the tracking. There's one of the women there, Ivanthia, who's working with a tech guy, and he was. Oh, thank you. That was. Did you hear that? That was our hawk,
Mhm.
our resident hawk.
Ooh.
He was dropping a letter.
Yeah.
Anyway, what she said was that there's something about they can track you at the end of a YouTube, and they track the person you're sending it to. Say if you're sending a link with the SI question mark, or
Mhm.
and then we were playing with the copy a clean link, and
Mhm.
that came out as without that tracking,
That's
that
right.
question mark. So is that, tell us how to, or what is your experience, if you would, and it's wonderful to be shared. What is the way that we can not be tracked and not carry a track to say we send it to somebody else? Then they can track both people and what you're doing with
Uh,
it. Or,
the
that's my very limited understanding, of.
Yeah. Yeah, typically speaking, you can on links, you can right click on the link before you click on it or before you send it. Right click on the link and you can clean URL. Copy clean URL is usually the term. And that
Okay.
is going to scrub it from what are called, it's called a string, a URL string. And it's just a unique code for that unique share so that they can attribute that share to your account. And that way, whenever someone clicks on it, they can see, oh, look at that. Their friend
Uh,
Joe clicked on that one unique link that's attributed to Paul. So they can see the effect, they can see the effectiveness of the share, right? Did it actually convert into another view?
so they aren't actually, I don't know. See, because I have this limited understanding. So then when I hear something, it's in the limited understanding of it. So we don't have to worry about sending something that has that link in it to somebody else. As far, I don't worry about it, but we know that it's we can either choose the linked copy or the unlinked copy.
That's right. And for me, I usually send the clean one simply because I don't want people to get a link that's like 5 lines long because sometimes those strings can have 150, 200 characters in them. And it's cumbersome to see. So I've been doing it that way for a while. And yes, there is an element of it's like I don't want my friend's click to be attributed to my share.
Yeah. How about your YouTubes? Do they have that? Are they a copy?
YouTube will put strings on my videos,
Okay.
but
We would put
yeah,
clean link. We would do the copy
yeah.
clean link or whatever. And then what about, oh gosh, no, I forgot what the question. I hate that when that happens. There was something else about that tracking. Oh well, I can't remember what it
Another
was. It went
another
by.
thing to
We're
do.
not tracking. This is where the machines excel over us
Yes,
because
they are
we
better
go,
at
oh, I
tracking
was
than we are.
having a thought, don't know what it was. God dang, oh well, must not have been important.
It was. I copied a clean link in my mind.
Yes,
Yes.
Many a
I can't trace it back. That's so good.
Uh,
Be careful what you say. It just can happen automatically. Well,
Another way to look at this, another aspect to look at this is to recognize the incentives of the tech companies. See it's like Facebook. I remember saying this back when I was doing Facebook marketing. Facebook doesn't care whether or not your business succeeds. Facebook doesn't care whether or not your ads are affordable. Facebook doesn't care whether or not you have good performance. on your ads. They don't even care whether or not your Facebook page gets a single follower. What do they care about? They care that people stay on Facebook, that they are dwelling on Facebook. They care that people are consuming more attention tokens on their platform.
Noah.
Yeah, I just want to say I think Maureen came in after dwelling, after you said what dwell means.
Yes. Yeah, the etymology of the word dwell means to be in illusion. Yes. Yeah, to be deceived, to stay in the illusion.
What about free
And so,
tube? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no. What did you ask?
About free tube. That's supposed to be an alternative to YouTube.
Oh, another one. That's good. We need as many alternatives as we can get.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that the ultimate alternative is that everybody just simply does it themselves. They create their own database where they control the data. And that's the ultimate, I think.
I don't know when we're meeting as the Potato Fluoride Club, but I just wanted to say today I planted cilantro. I'm so inspired by the 4 people. And Audrey Lynn, what happened to you? I know about taking a big bite, you know. you took a big bite, girl.
And then get this, on top of the big bite she took. Yesterday she was like, maybe I should get another plot.
Yes, but if I monocrop the second plot, it's all good.
Yeah.
But what would I monocrop it into?
You're my kind of people. Oh, this is too big. I think I need another.
Yeah.
So for a period of time, I acted as the garden coordinator for a community league, and I spearheaded us getting these 10 by 10, 10 foot by 10 foot by 12 inch garden boxes. And we had 20 of them or some crazy thing. I didn't have enough gardeners. So, and I valiantly attempted to keep the plots covered with like grass clippings or whatnot, but it was a super windy spot, so stuff would just blow over. So I finally just kind of threw up my hands and says, fine, you guys aren't going to plant them, I'll plant them. And I had 6 boxes going. I was like, as well as my own private little plots. Crazy woman. I gave away so much food. It was the food banks and the whatnot would see me coming and was like, oh, we don't want more turnips. We're done with left.
Well, then you have like a Hugelberg or whatever they call that, where you just bury it all, you know, too.
Hugelkultur.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I would have loved to have done that too. But again, this is community league.
I know.
You have to get all kinds of permission and blah, blah, blah. So,
Yeah.
Well, this is the true confessions of the gardeners. When I figured out that there were community gardens in the Twin Cities, I don't know if it was the first year or the second year, I was in 8 different, I don't know if I was in 8 different community gardens, because maybe what I'm counting is one was our yard, and so that would have mean I was in 7. But I had 8 things to like. I was like, I wanted to up my experience curve, right? Because you'd learn different things at each garden, whether that was about the humans or the garden.
Marcia was just saying this morning that the way you do one thing is the way you do all things. And I'm just thinking that the way you came into this group, that, you know, that was kind of like, you just didn't do you didn't slide in. Do you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
You went like this.
Yep.
You leaped in. And
I will make all the calls that I can. Yes. Yeah.
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 So now I'm only at 1 community garden, and I technically only have 1 plot. We used to have 2 for my partner and I. but we lost it when he had his stroke.
Mhm.
But I am taking care of a plot for someone else that had a stroke. So I've just got my yard and one garden. And some of those gardens I was part of were very high demand, actually. Like they required 4 hours a month from like May to October. Yeah, those
Okay.
are
Month, not a week. Okay, that's
a
not too.
month.
That's
Well,
not.
the one I'm in now, it's 4 hours for the whole season.
Wow.
Yeah, we have a lot of gardeners though. We have like 190 plots or something. So
Wow.
everything's
Wow.
covered.
I keep wanting to do that here. You know what? I haven't done any research about how do you share the cost of water and fertilizer and all that kind of thing. How do you do that?
Well,
Or
you don't. You leave the fertilizer to the gardener, and the water. You'd have to track the usage year over year, and
Good
I would
idea.
build that into the cost of the plot. Where
Yeah,
I was at with the community league, they they got a cheaper rate through the city, and it was a basic nightmare to do any kind of that kind of tracking. But people were generally speaking um, uh, respectful. The thing is that with this new plot, you got to carry the water from water tote. So I'm not going to be overusing water. I will be very
Right.
judicious with the amount of water that I use. So that might be something that you consider, is that people want water, fine, but you have to carry it.
So for a long time, I rented a plot that was huge in somebody's. It was more than a yard, but like there was an area that was never developed, and every house behind it had all this space. So I had this huge plot, bigger than what you're looking at there. But I had to haul water from home, which was 20 minutes away. So I had to fill gallon jars or whatever, and then drive it there, and then walk it out to the field. So what ended up happening as I got more and more efficient, supposedly, was I just wouldn't plant, because I'd be like, well, if I plant, and then I'm going to have to come back here and water every day. So I just developed I let the raspberry patch just grow and grow and grow, and I would just go and harvest every year for hours on the raspberries. But eventually the owner passed away, and so now I don't have that anymore. I couldn't stop myself from being there, but finally somebody died, and it was no longer available to be there at.
that that kind of consciousness of people, because my brother is in Oregon as well, and he always leased property to do his garden on, because he liked couple acres,
Mm-hmm.
he liked a big garden. And so he always, like, where's that island that's in the middle of the that big, oh well, see, I can't remember anything name, never mind. But the river, what is it, that one river that goes through Oregon? Go
ahead.
The Columbia?
It probably, now see, it doesn't resonate, so I don't know that that's it.
The
Anyway,
Columbia goes around the edge of it. It's the boundary between Washington and Oregon.
Right.
it might be that, because he lived in Portland.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
might
it would be.
And there's little islands in the middle of it, or
Oh, I didn't
anyway,
know that.
so it was a little island. Well, and this could be, a whole story I dreamt. Who knows?
The simulation.
Yeah.
So this whole thing about, I would like to ask a question too. And Paul, I was going to talk to you about this, but I'm glad to have company. The whole thing on browser and server, and what makes up. Now, I know you explained it to me one time. Of course, that's not enough. It needs to be recorded, and I need to hear it again and again and again. But does anybody else have any difficulty with that? Or is that just me? Like a browser, they named it that because you can browse, I'm guessing.
Yep.
Does
Think
it
of a
make
browser
sense?
as a window to the internet.
Right. Now, I think that's the definition you use. But now, is a browser Brave.
Yes.
Brave is my browser. So that's the one that opens up to the internet, and then I put name and words in it, and then it browses the internet to find that. And so then a server is Cox, or the company that I have that provides me with internet service. Is that right?
Oh,
Are they the
that's not a
server?
server. That's what's called an internet service provider.
Oh, a provider. Okay, so that makes
Yeah.
sense. So now, what is a server?
A server is what an internet service provider will read to deliver you the message.
Kind of like a book.
Yes.
Okay, so that's, and then the browser it translates that, all those numbers and everything. The browser translates that into English, in my case.
Yes. Your browser is reading from a server, and the internet service provider is simply delivering the data.
So they're not my server.
Nope.
I don't have I don't name a server.
Internet service providers are digital delivery boys.
Right. So who's my server? Or do I have one?
You have a server. It's a very, very rudimentary server in your house. That's your computer. It serves information. In fact, if I have your IP address, I could access your server. I could access your computer. So servers are simply houses, or I would say more directly, they would be the real estate. They would be the land. And then you can build things on servers. So you might have an application. Or for instance, Dragon Riders now has a server, and they're using Nextcloud as a house for the information. Oh, you're muted.
Nextcloud is a server.
Nope. Nextcloud is an interface with which you can look at the server.
And the server still is my computer.
Mm.
The server is always my computer. Is that right?
That's one server. The Nextcloud is installed on another server, and that's where the Dragon Rider data is. The Dragon Rider house. I would say Nextcloud provides the environment in which you can look at the database. Databases are really not very user friendly. They're like, if you were to look at the code for Nextcloud,
Right.
it's impossible. Like, humans don't read that. They don't it's not even engaging to interact with. But Nextcloud itself is a container in which you can access all that information on the database. You save a video file, and the video file itself is not really visible unless a human clicks on the link and the Nextcloud displays the video. Otherwise, it's very, very tedious to look at. Machines. Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm just wondering. Nextcloud is not just a browser. It actually has a place where we can do. That's what I'm trying to think of, the different, because we can do so much on Nextcloud, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it provides a service of all of those different things. Is that? I'm trying to, and I don't have to understand it all. Now, if I can just understand kind of basic concept, then later it will build without me, having to make a big deal out of it. So I'll just kind of leave it at that right now.
Think of it as, if you have, let's say, for instance, you've got your email program. You have data that comes in your email, and that gets saved on your computer. But your computer doesn't look at your email the same way you do, and so you need an interface. You need to be able to interact with those emails. And so then you open up your email program to go and look at that database.
That email program, I know it's on that it's on my Apple.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
it goes mail.
The little stamp icon is
Yeah.
how your brain associates with your email.
Yeah.
But the email itself is on a database that's really, really quite boring to look at. And it's not even that organized.
Okay.
When you go ahead and click on that little stamp, it opens up a piece of software that allows you to look at your email account and see all of the information, all of the messages. Nextcloud is the same type of program, but it can handle lots of different types of content, not just email. It can
Right.
handle articles, you can upload PDFs, you can start chats back and forth with other people, all kinds of different ways of interacting with that database.
And so what is Nextcloud called? Is it
It's a software.
it's a software, so it goes on your hard drive. So I understand that. See, I can't really get, if I don't have this context to put things in, I can't go from a small piece of data, hold that in isolation to context. I just, my brain doesn't work that way well. I just have to keep being reinforced. Whereas if I have a context, and then I can like slip it in, then the whole thing is memorable as a relationship rather than just as an isolated event. But anyway, that's all right. I'll get it. Who knows how old I'll be by the time I get it. Oh my God.
And kind of have to think about it this way. It's really not super important.
Yeah.
It's like, do you have to know how the toaster works in order to get toast out of the toaster?
I know that, but it's like if something goes wrong or malfunctions, then I'm always dependent on somebody else.
Yes, that I get. And the more that we have self-responsibility over the data, the less we have to go and hunt people down to help us. Oh, you're muted again.
So anyway, that's so you
I would like to respond to your question, Maureen, because you're saying, is it just me?
Yeah.
I function as if I know what these things are, but I don't. So the questions that you're asking, I wouldn't have been able to answer them. And the answers that you're receiving, I'm only partially absorbing. So, which is a longer way to say you're not alone. Like I know what some terms refer to, or I think I do. And then like in some of the things that were described, I realized, oh, I had the wrong idea. So I don't really know what a server is, So I'm operating at the level of like, I know where the light switch is and I know how to turn it on and off. And I've gotten so that I know where more switches are, and I'm more self-sufficient. I don't have to go to my partner for as many things. And I've also developed some ability to like stick with something and try and figure it out. But I still don't get like some of the basic premises. And there is something, what you're describing sounds to me like what I feel about the car. My partner will explain things to me. Oh, that's the blah, blah, blah that does the doodle, blah, blah. And then like a year later, something's wrong with the blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, wait, how does that work again? He's like, we've talked about this, but I never had any place to hang it. He was working with it as a teenager, and like his hands know what those things are. So his brain is talking to his hands and his hands are talking to his brain. But I'm like, okay, the pistons, I know there's pistons. Shoot, what do the pistons do again? Like I form these kind of half images of like, I get images of the pistons going up and down and working, but I don't know quite, and then something new is broken and I'm like, wait, what's that? How does that tie in? But I never have the whole framework to hang the pieces in. So they kind of come in and go out and they get clear for a moment and then they don't have any place to land. So that's how I feel about the computer stuff. I'm much more functional on it than I was. I can do a lot more on my own than I used to. Doesn't mean I really understand.
So Nextcloud is equal to, what do I have, like the Apple software on my computer?
That's right.
And Brave is like, well, Safari. I know those are equal. They're things that are browsers, which means and if I can just get these two things down,
Yeah.
And if browser is like what you go on your software and browse, like you said, it's a window to the internet, but your software does that translation from, the data, the information that makes absolutely no sense at all, or just a bunch of coding, then the software makes sense of that, or the browser makes sense of that.
A browser is also software
Okay.
because it's the interface. Again, it goes back to
All right.
how do you access the data? The computers can access the data without a software.
Right.
They're just transacting the data back and forth without there needing to be a user interface.
So if I actually installed the software, I would know. And if I put up, I see all that data, then I installed browser, then Brave, then I would see that it's a browser because it looks at the internet, but it has a certain interface, so it translates all of that. So okay, so that's helpful. That's a beginning step for me, and that's fine. I don't need any more than that right now because I can build on that. But Zoa, no, I know, and it's like, yeah. Anyway, I like to have a flow chart in my mind. If I have a flow chart or an umbrella, like you were saying, to hang things on, oh, this is the bigger, then this. And to me, it's like a flow chart. Then this can happen. Then from there, this can happen. And then I have these choices. So what I'm looking forward to is Nextcloud, which means I can bypass even getting a Linux computer. Would that be accurate?
Yep. That's
So
right.
that's what I'm waiting for. So then I can just go to one place, which again in computer language is more elegant. Instead of being complicated in multiple steps, we've eliminated steps. That's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what I look forward to doing. And
So wait a second. How does using Nextcloud replace needing a Linux?
Well, it's the hosting of the data in Nextcloud using Nextcloud that makes it where you have that privatization of data for Dragon Riders, and anybody could replace their content management system, data management system with Nextcloud and achieve the same privacy. So you could do it. It's just not, it's not something that's going to help you at this time to do it that way. Go ahead, Zoa.
Well, there's all this stuff about how the Windows computers are tracking now, the new ones that came out starting last October, I think, are tracking. They're taking pictures of every move everything that we do. And then the Mac is coming not too far behind that. How does going on Nextcloud prevent that from happening? Because that's in the computer, right? That's
I'd like to try to answer that, because
go girl.
It's interesting just because I want to play here. Because Nextcloud has a privacy, just like Linux has that firewall. Mm-hmm. So yes, it can say that it goes to Linux, but it can't trace it any further than that. Would that be accurate, Paul?
Yes, and in fact, I don't even think Nextcloud would be able to tell that it went to a Linux machine. It would only be able to tell which IP address it had to send to. And if you have a VPN, then that's just another wall of privacy because that's not your actual IP address.
I think it Yeah, I think it should be called the Ben Franklin move. You know how in chess
Yeah.
they have moves? That this whole idea of you don't get to see what's in my private mail.
Right.
I don't care if it's not a question of do I have anything to hide? It's that you don't have the right to look at my information.
Yep.
That's mine.
It,
That's not your data. That's my data.
correct. Yeah. The
Yeah.
saying is, and I can't remember, it comes from a movie. I can't remember which movie it is, but it has to do with privacy. And the saying that they have in that movie is, no, it's not that I have something that I want to hide. It's that I have nothing to share. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I choose not to share
Yeah.
with it and with you. Now I may choose
Mhm.
to share with other people, but I don't share.
Yeah.
Choose to share with just a brush stroke. You know, we got broad brush. You know, whatever they call that, a
Yep.
broad stroke. Yeah, and I think it should be the Ben Franklin move because he's the father of our, one of the founding fathers, and that I love that, Paul, that you gave me that information, and it made me just admire him or just revere, his foresight.
Yep. Yep. And I'm of the firm belief that that's why the U.S. Postal Service, still to this day, makes it a federal offense to open someone else's mail.
So can we get remedial for me for a moment? I don't understand how if I am on a Windows computer and I go to Nextcloud, if my computer is spying on me, then how does going to Nextcloud stop that? And also all the other places I go besides Nextcloud. Yeah.
Well, the advantage with Nextcloud is that you've got an encryption. You've got an encrypted connected directly to the Dragon Rider server. In this case, we're talking about Dragon Rider's instance of Nextcloud. That connection is end-to-end encrypted. So when you are, let's say, for instance, you're typing in on Nextcloud on your browser, and I would suggest the browser, not the app, simply because the application for Nextcloud, the desktop application, it's got a lot of bugs and it's not a very user-friendly experience. Also, I'm not convinced that that is without monitors, like something being monitored on that. Whereas in the browser, the connection is I think it's more secure. And the lateral movement that you have is a lot more seamless. Yeah.
So that means that you can't use it on your phone.
Yeah.
Because you have to use it, right?
Yeah, and this is where we get into the topic of, okay, so because the phones are definitely way less secure. Phones are just inherently less secure. But the thing is that the reason why there's something to fear there is because people are taking their phones and they're signing up, putting all their information in, and they're signing up with identifiers that are associated with their citizenship. I've got two phones and I use them both a lot. One of them actually connects to the mobile networks when I'm out there and I want to get a reception. I want to talk to somebody on the phone. That's one of my phones. And then the other phone is right here by my computer. But this one here doesn't connect to that network. It only just stays here inside my Wi-Fi. But neither one of those phones have any digital identifiers that could be associated with my citizenship. So I'm not concerned about the privacy of my data nearly to the same degree as most people have to be, because they're still signing up for these devices with identifiers that are associated with their citizenship.
So then that leads to the question: how do you sign up for a phone that's not linked to your citizenship? Well, Ron is Ron is signed up, so I'm under his contract. So I
Okay,
don't think
yeah.
they have any of my information. I don't know.
Well,
Maybe.
except, do you access your online banking through your phone?
Yeah. No, I try not to. No, I try not
Right.
to.
Yeah. But do you have the app?
They want me to have the app.
Yeah.
I delete it because I feel like that's more of a way that people can get my information. It just intuitively, I don't like to have anything on my phone because it can be swiped when I go out in
Yeah.
the public. That's what I don't like about it.
Yeah.
I don't
And
know,
the way I do it,
yeah.
anything financial, anything financial for me, I do that within a separate Brave browser profile so that all the other data that I do, when I'm on my trading, when I open up my charts, I'm using a Brave profile that has no identifiable information attached to it. I only have one Brave profile where I use my online banking. So the data there is separate and it's not connected to any other data.
Okay, Paul, I'm going to say right now that I choose to make myself less available to the major data, whatever. And I'd like to go through that in our conversations when we meet up. That feels to be really important right now. And let's see how far I can go,
Yeah.
and feel, yeah, this is righteous and feels right for me. But I'd love to start, page 1, and you could have a little manual, of how to do this and share it. And I'm sure you already have this kind of thing going on, but don't you think so?
Well, I'm on that same track. Like, we had started to talk about this in our session, so I'm wondering if it would actually be effective to actually offer this kind of as a, like, rather than going through it with each one of us.
Make it a
did
group
we-
study.
Yeah, I think that would
Yeah.
save you time, and we'd also learn from each other.
That was my intent with the co-work. Because that's where once a week I'm there for 2-3 hours, open office. People can just come. Next Gen merchants only.
That works for me. I think that's great. And that's where we talked about it too. That is where we, in fact, I don't think I've done my one-on-ones because I like to come to co-work, and it's like, I don't know, there's just something about it. It feels less, I don't feel a pressure to like come prepared and informed. And
there is that, and it's really good. I did some purification around that. Because there is this expectation to be responsible for your financial situation. Do you know what I'm saying? That you don't quite have, I don't have it all together yet. But I think I've done enough there. I don't need to do that anymore. I'd love to do that, and I'll sign up for that, but I don't know that I want to stay for 2 or 3 hours on Thursday. What?
Oh yeah.
Well, it doesn't have to be the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah, I go from noon your time till about 3 your time.
Yeah, but like then I'd miss something. You know what I mean? If I didn't stay for the whole 3 hours, then I'd miss. I mean, it would be recorded, but oh my God, I'm not good at recording either. So I like to be live. But is there it could be a dedicated part of it be that rather than the whole.
Yeah, I would say that when you come.
Yeah. Okay.
Just say this. Let's say, for instance, it's this week. This is the week where you come to co-work.
I see.
When you show up for co-work, we will work on your stuff. And when you show up, let's say you show up an hour in, and we're already doing something. We'll just wrap up whatever we're working on, and then we'll transition over to your project.
Well, there is something about everybody being on the same page, but you know what? That'll work itself out. I'm not worried about that. And
I could tell you everybody would benefit from that class.
Yeah.
So,
oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So, and you'll record it, right? It's all recorded, right?
Yeah.
And we could mark like, oh, this half hour we went into this.
Correct. Yeah.
But we could also say, like, Marcia, sorry.
Maureen. That's all right.
I know who you are. It just
I do
came out of
not
my mouth weird. I don't know why that happened.
Well, there's a
I
lot
never
of
confuse the two of you ever.
Lots of M's.
Yeah, I think it's because I was trying to think of something else, and so my mouth just made a sound. Just pick a name, any name.
That's all right. I was calling you Drew for a while, so I
That's
understand.
all right. That's all right.
Just comes out whatever it is.
But like, if you know this Thursday that you can show up for the last hour, I could make a point to show up for the last hour, and we would focus on that. Do you know what I mean? Like, we could coordinate it,
Yeah.
or we don't have to, and we just see how it works out.
Let me see. I have, believe it or not, I have an income tax appointment. Hold on. I want to see what time that is. Oh wait, it's on my calendar, and it just happens to be this Thursday, because Thursday is always a good day for me to and naturally I didn't put it in my calendar, but I know it's this Thursday. I just can't remember what time. There we go. Rescheduled. Okay, let me just see what time it is. Oh, it's let's see. Okay, so that's okay. May 7th at 2:30. So probably what would be good, that May 7th is Thursday, right? So probably, like, if I'm supposed to be there at 2:30, I need to leave 45 an hour. So that's 1:30, and then I need to get ready for it. So how about 12 to 1 on Thursday?
Sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Or maybe before that I could show up too. I think that's when you start, isn't it? 12 o'clock?
Yep.
Yeah. So then I could be there 12 to 1.
Perfect.
And let's just see
And
where we're
that's-
at with it.
And that's what we'll focus on. We'll focus on that first bit, just setting up digital identifiers with Brave. That is the foundation right there.
Okay. Well, do you want to send out an email so if anybody else wants to join us? Or
That's
I
only for
need a
next
little
generations.
remedial help on the time zones here, because I don't.
oh yeah,
So you do market
Oh, yeah.
analysis from. I don't know what time zones you're all in. I'm getting confused.
Yeah. So we are in 3 time zones, consecutive time zones. So you're first in line. So we meet at 12 o'clock your time for
market
analysis.
analysis.
Right. That's
Right.
11 my time and 10
Okay.
o'clock Maureen.
Okay.
So then when it comes time for co-work on Thursday, it'll be 1 o'clock my time, noon Maureen's time, and 2 o'clock your time.
Oh, I don't think that's. So do you
I
take a
do.
1 hour gap between market analysis and?
Yeah. Sometimes it's
it's-
half an hour gap. Like I finish off market analysis, and usually I only take about a half-hour break, and then I log in. But official start time.
Okay, so it's
is-
actually just a 2 hour. I have 12.
2 hour difference between, I think, because you're
No,
central.
no,
time,
but
yeah?
I think this is different. I think you're saying something different, because like I just write down in my calendar 12 to 4. Next, it's market analysis, and then it goes into co-working. There's a gap in there somewhere. So there's
Okay.
a 3 hour. You do 3 hours of co-working.
Yeah.
I love that we're all discussing all this on YouTube. It's so funny. So private. We're discussing all our privacy stuff on.
Oh, yeah, I can
we
stream it.
probably have triggered